most sites, they always said the biggest danger to the Sussex story wasn't the palace, wasn't the British press, and definitely wasn't YouTube. They said the real threat was the man who knew her before the crown, and tonight, that man's silence just detonated the entire narrative. For 7 years, Trevor Engelson was treated like a ghost. The quiet ex-husband, the man who vanished politely, signed papers, and never spoke. The media called him dignified. The palace called him contained. But containment has an expiration date, and when it expires, it doesn't leak, it explodes. This morning, a digital bomb tore through the internet. Not a rumor, not a blind item, not a gossip blog whisper. Screenshots, metadata, archived URLs dragged out of the digital grave. And suddenly, the carefully polished origin story of Meghan Markle is shaking at its foundation. According to leaked material now spreading across forums and private servers, a long-dead website from 2011 allegedly linked to Meghan has resurfaced. Not an acting portfolio, not a lifestyle blog, not charity work, a booking style site. And the contact listed at the bottom, not an agent, not a manager, but a shell company allegedly connected to Trevor himself. That detail alone is why panic reportedly erupted in Montecito within hours. Because this isn't just about embarrassing photos, this is about receipts. To understand why this is so dangerous, you have to rewind to the years everyone skips over, 2011 to 2013. We were told this was the grind era. Toronto, auditions, flights back to LA, a struggling actress hustling honestly. But for years, online researchers flagged something strange. The money didn't add up, the travel didn't match the paychecks, the lifestyle didn't fit the URSAM. And now, the resurfaced screenshots claim to fill in those missing blanks. The site, now allegedly confirmed through archived captures, lists categories that do not belong to acting, event hosting, private companionship, elite travel availability, discretion emphasized repeatedly. This is the gray zone. Not Hollywood, not charity, but something far more transactional. And suddenly, Trevor's role looks very different. Not husband, not partner, manager. The alleged site paints a dynamic that's hard to ignore. Meghan as the asset, Trevor as the operator. Was he building her career or packaging her brand? Because here's a detail that froze investigators mid-scroll. The shell company domain tied to the booking email allegedly traces back to Trevor's registration records. If true, this wasn't a secret side hustle, it was a structured operation. And that's why this leak hits harder than any interview ever could. Let's talk about the screenshots themselves. The profile image allegedly shown isn't business casual. It isn't auditions and headshots energy. It's polished, sultry, curated, designed to sell access, not talent. The bio doesn't list degrees or credits, it lists discretion. Multilingual conversation. Elite travel readiness. That word discretion is everything. You don't sell discretion to casting directors, you sell it to powerful men who can't afford exposure. And the timestamp, August 2011, right before the Jamaica wedding, which raises a chilling question no PR team can easily erase. Was the marriage a romance or a business structure? And when that structure collapsed, when Meghan reportedly mailed back her ring, was that a divorce or a termination? Now, imagine the scene being painted behind closed doors today. Montecito, a laptop open, a screenshot staring back from a past she believed was deleted forever, fonts recognized, images remembered, a website she thought lived only on a crushed hard drive. And suddenly, Prince Harry is standing in the doorway asking questions no one rehearsed answers for. What is event hosting? What is elite travel availability? The explanations come fast. Too fast, fake, AI, jealous ex, but dates don't lie, and neither do email formats, because Harry knows Trevor, and recognition is louder than denial. This is where doubt stops being theoretical, because if these screenshots are authentic, then Meghan didn't just have a past, she had a menu. And that's when the narrative fractures completely, because the site allegedly doesn't stop at a landing page. It was reportedly password protected, invite only, tiered access, and And once inside, packages, rates, availability calendars, not romance, not coincidence, structure. Which brings us to the names whispering through the metadata, initials tied to dates, cities, and 5-star reviews. And one initial is already driving internet researchers into a frenzy. Mr. R, Istanbul, 2012. A glowing testimonial praising intellect, privacy, and understanding the assignment. And suddenly, old Instagram posts from that exact month are being re-examined under a very different lens. Inspiration trip or paid presents? This is why the palace allegedly fears what's coming next. Because once initials become identities, this stops being gossip and becomes a geopolitical nightmare. And then there's the pivot point. 2013. The site allegedly goes dormant. The booking button disappears. And redirects begin pointing elsewhere. London. Private servers. A name that keeps surfacing in quiet conversations, Marcus Anderson. And the institution behind him, Soho House. If Trevor built the local operation, Marcus allegedly scaled it global, which would mean this wasn't chaos, it was progression. But here's the most unsettling part. If all of this is true, then Meghan didn't accidentally fall into elite circles. She was trained to move through them. And that changes everything about how she met Harry. Because suddenly, coincidence looks like targeting. And romance looks like strategy. And that's where, right before the door swings open on the back-end data, the client initials, and the redirection trail that allegedly connects Hollywood hustle to royal access. The lie didn't collapse when the screenshots surfaced. It collapsed when people realized the screenshots were only the front door. Because in the digital underground, the landing page is decoration. The real business lives in the back end. And according to the data trail now circulating privately, the site tied to Meghan's missing years wasn't searchable, wasn't public, and wasn't meant for curiosity. It was password protected, invite only, tiered. When investigators allegedly accessed the archived admin credentials, the tone shifted instantly. Not scandal, but structure. No acting credits, no charity blurbs, no aspiring artist language, a menu, not written in crude words, written in corporate code. Because in high-end facilitation, you never say what you're selling. You describe the experience. The first package listed, red carpet +1. Full evening companionship for galas, premieres, and corporate functions. Media-ready presence. Conversation tailored to the client. Discretion guaranteed. Translation, you weren't buying a date. You were renting credibility. The second option escalated fast. International travel partner. 48 hours to 7-day availability. Passport ready. Fluent conversation. Elite discretion. This explains the erratic travel logs that never matched filming schedules. The unexplained appearances in Istanbul, Monaco, the Mediterranean. The trips dismissed as inspiration. In this context, inspiration looks more like invoicing. And then came the most unsettling listing. Holistic experience. Private relaxation, stress relief, yoga-focused companionship, no translation needed. What makes this devastating isn't the implication, it's the professionalism. The alleged site doesn't look desperate. It doesn't look shady. It looks curated, controlled, premium, which aligns perfectly with the persona Meghan has always sold: polished, adaptable, elite, adjacent. According to the leaked figures, the weekend retainer in 2011 allegedly sat around $10,000. For perspective, that's not cable TV money, that's not struggling actress income, that's luxury access pricing. And then come the testimonials. Most sites like this keep reviews vague, but metadata doesn't lie. Initials, dates, locations. One review keeps resurfacing because it matches public records too cleanly to ignore. September 2012, Istanbul, reviewer, Mr. R. The praise is chilling in its calmness, not physical, not emotional, operational. She understood the assignment, privacy was absolute, will book again. And that's when the internet did what it always does. It cross-referenced. Travel photos, flight dates, public appearances, the overlap is exact. Which is why this story is no longer about embarrassment. It's about who was paying. Well, because if initials become identities, the blast radius widens beyond Hollywood straight into diplomatic territory. Back in Montecito, the silence is reportedly louder than the screaming. Harry isn't arguing anymore, he's researching. Locked in the guest house, scrolling through leaked tables, seeing patterns instead of memories. The yoga he fell for, the travel stories, the ready for anything charm. Suddenly, it looks less like personality and more like product training. He realizes something unbearable. He didn't marry a woman with a complicated past, he married a woman with repeat clients. And then he sees a shift. The year everything changed. 2013. The website goes dormant, the booking button disappears, and buried in the code is a redirect, a digital handoff. Not to Trevor, not to Hollywood, to London, to a private server tied to Soho House. And one name appears repeatedly in routing logs, Marcus Anderson. This is the moment the operation allegedly went global. Trevor handled the groundwork. Local, manageable, Marcus had the Rolodex. Under this version of events, Meghan wasn't befriended by Soho House, she was recruited. Camera ready, discreet, ambitious, perfect. The leaked server paths show emails redirected to a private Soho House address, an alias used repeatedly, Lady M Facilitation. Branding before the title, and this reframes everything. Marcus isn't a friend. He's not a house guest, he's a broker, which explains why he's always there, why he travels with them, why he survives every fallout. He doesn't hold secrets, he holds files. Back in Montecito, the tone reportedly changes from rage to fear, because Trevor is manageable. He signed papers. Marcus doesn't operate on NDAs, he operates on silence. And the alleged message coming through encrypted channels is simple: if the network is threatened, the asset is sacrificed. Which brings us to the final layer, the database. Buried deep in the archived squill tables is a file marked completed bookings, initials, dates, locations, and when matched with public timelines, the pattern becomes undeniable. A chef, a golfer, a pattern of relationships that align perfectly with bookings. And then the entry that makes Palace aides sweat. July 2015, London and Istanbul. Client, Mr. Y Notes. Introduction via MA. And that's signed, York. If that initial means what the internet suspects, this isn't coincidence, it's infiltration. Which would mean Meghan didn't stumble into royalty. She was introduced, tested, passed along. And Harry wasn't the first royal contact, just the first one knave enough to marry her. In the guest house, Harry stares at the screen, not crying, not raging, gray, because realization is quieter than anger. He sees himself in the notes, target identified. Profile built, he wasn't chosen by fate, he was selected. And suddenly, the marriage looks like a subscription he never agreed to. In the main house, calls go unanswered. PR firms distance themselves, deals quietly vanish. Because no brand survives this. You can't sell empowerment while the internet scrolls through rates. You can't sell authenticity when your past reads like an invoice. And that's when the final truth lands. This wasn't leaked out of bitterness. It was leaked out of timing. Trevor didn't strike when she was powerful. He waited until she was vulnerable, until contracts dried up, until narratives cracked. And with one release, he destroyed her victim storyline forever. Because you can't be oppressed by a system you built. You can't be trapped by a business you profited from. The final scene is quiet. Harry packs one bag. No shouting, no speeches, just cancellation. The door closes, the house echoes. And Meghan is left staring at a screen full of receipts she thought were buried. No Trevor, no Marcus, no Prince, just the internet forever.